You have heard so much about him, but in a few minutes you're going to hear from him. At this time, I have the honor of presenting you
Yo, hey, good morning. How y'all doing? Welcome to OG Lowe's Hangout Corner. I'm your host, Carlos Stargell, aka OG Lowe. And welcome to my podcast this morning. Now I know I've said now what I'm saying now. Just want to let you know I go live every day from 9:15 in the mornings, and then except Mondays, I go a little later on Mondays. And at 6 o'clock in the evenings, between 6 o'clock and 6:15 and 6:30, yes. How y'all doing today? I'm all right if y'all all right. Yeah. But yesterday, my special guest, it was so good to hear from. It was so good to have him on my podcast yesterday, on my show yesterday. I mean, we brought back a lot of memories talking about the music we grew up on, but it's a lot of stuff we left out too. But they were some funny moments, but a lot of them were too good for your ear hole. But I will tell you some of those moments when I first met my friend Bernard. I ain't gonna lie to you. The first time I met him when I first came to Clarkston, man, I was terrified of that joker because during that time I was real skinny and wasn't that tall, and he looked like a giant over me at the time. I mean, we were young, 14, 15 years old, but shoot, he looked like a giant and somebody you don't want to mess with. But what he told you was real true. What brought us tighter and closer as friends, we both have a passion and love for music. But let him tell it, I have more knowledge about it. You know, I agree with him. But I did introduce him to a lot of stuff that he wasn't familiar with growing up. Like, I introduced him to funk, the real funk. I introduced him to, I even introduced him to a lot of comedy albums. Like, you know, of course, he knew about Richard Pryor. I even told him about Dolomite, Rudy Ray Moore. Now, if I had a name like that, I'd be funny as hell too. But anyway, the one I did introduce them to, and let him tell it, he never heard of this cat until he met me. And I'm talking about Blowfly. Yes. I mean, come on now. Now, y'all know growing up as a kid, I ain't have no business listening to that. I'm like, I can say that now because I'm grown. But when we were kids, you know, we didn't have no business listening to Blowfly, Richard Pryor, Rudy Ray Moore, or none of those comedians growing up as kids, because come on now. Even though they said stuff that we never heard, that it's not like we never heard it before, but our parents was letting us know off firsthand and with authority. You might have heard it before, but guess what? You weren't gonna hear it. You weren't gonna hear it. You weren't gonna hear you. They weren't gonna let you hear it. And then I respected that. But you know, kids like us, we still gonna be sneaky and hard-headed and do what we want to do and not listen. But then the consequences come along when we get caught. Either you're gonna get fussed at or you're gonna get your tail whooped. Well, a lot of times I got both, fussed at and my butt whooped. But it's all good. Now, we can look back and laugh about stuff like that now, but back in the day, it wasn't nothing funny about them butt whippers. I mean, we thought they were we thought that was torture and inhumane punishment. But now looking back now, I hate to say it, but a lot of these Rudy Poots need that today. Yeah, I said it. Rudy Poots started for Oriental, then it changed to badass kids. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyhow, But yeah, but me and Bernard, we was talking about, and we did. I mean, like, let you know another little secret. Okay, it's one thing we were cool in the ninth grade, but before our 10th grade year, the summer '83, I did the unthinkable. Yes, I went and got my ear pierced. And a lot of people thought, a lot of people, even my family, like I told Bernard, not just people at Clarkston and people that, but my family, and mainly my family and a lot of church people, they were like in shock that I had got my ear pierced when I was in the ninth going to the 10th grade, because back, like I say, back in the early '80s, that was during the time when people really weren't accepting guys with earrings in their ear. And back then, either you was a gangster or effeminate. Me, I'm neither. I'm just Carlos. But anyway, and also too, back then, like in the '80s, when I first got mine, if you wore it in your left, that means you were cool. You wore it in your right, that meant something else. But now that I wear both in both ears, I used to tell them when I first got my right ear pierced in November '89, and they saw I had them in both ears. I used to say, you wear it on your left, you're cool. You wear it on your right is another story. But I got them in both, so you figure it out, which you will never do because you don't know me like that. But anyway, so getting back to my buddy Bernard, everybody freaked out because I had got an earring. A lot of people did. A lot of people cool with it, and some of them freaked out. But I didn't really care. But honestly, like on the first day of school, yeah, I was teased. I was teased pretty bad when they first saw me with someone when they first saw me with an earring. But then the next day, and after that, everything went back to normal. They treated me like Carlos, like they know me, and but I think what it was, I think it just caught them by surprise when they saw I had an earring in my ear. But also too, even before school had started that year, you see a lot of couple of your buddies and your friends, because some of y'all might be neighbors. But anyway, how with me, when I first got mine, I saw a friend of mine, and for who I went to school with, I'm not gonna mention his name, but he was like, "Hey, I heard you got an earring. Such and such told me you had it. So who was such and who told me you had an earring?" So I said, "Yeah, I got an earring. It's true." And then that's the one who he told my friend Bernard, and Bernard was like, "Hey, I heard you got an earring." I ain't gonna mention the guy's name, but he said, "Where's your collar told me he had an earring?" I said, "Yeah, he told you right." But like I said, but even before school started, I got a call. Talk to me, Gary. You on OG Lowe's Hangout Corner with your host, Carlos Stargell, aka OG Lowe. What's happening, my brother?
Hello?
Hey, Gary. You know you on the air, don't you?
Hello, Carlos?
Yeah, you know you on the air, right? Gary.
Huh?
You on the air.
Yeah.
I said,
Hello?
yeah, you on my podcast, man. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, let me turn the volume down a little bit. Wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute. Can you hear me now?
Can't hear you, dude.
What about now? Can you hear me? What about now?
A little bit.
Okay, well, I'm gonna try to get close to the mic. What about now, bro?
I can't hardly hear you. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Welcome. Hey, look, thanks for joining in on my pod, man.
Huh?
Thanks for joining my podcast. I'm gonna say a little low. Thank you for joining in on my podcast.
Can't hear you.
What can you hear me a little bit now?
No, you on speakerphone?
Yeah, and plus I got you on my it's on my Bluetooth on when I go live, man. I got the volume up as far as I can. Well, can you hear me now a little bit?
A
little bit, yeah.
Okay. Hey, thank you for joining my podcast, brother. I said, thank you for joining in. Hello?
What did you say?
I said, thank you for joining in.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, thank you for joining.
Hey, Carlos, I said cricket.
Yeah, I heard you. Hey. Hey, Gary.
Did you get that comment?
Yeah, I got it. Hey, Gary.
That comment.
Hey, Gary. Let me say this right quick. When you calling in on my podcast, it's dealing with podcast pertaining to podcasts only, okay? Hello? Hey, look, let's stick to podcast this pertaining to podcasts only, okay?
Okay.
So we're gonna talk about what I was talking about on the podcast. But like I was telling you, Gary, I was talking about music I was talking about my special guest yesterday. I was talking about and we was talking about how we met when we was in high school and everything, and the music we grew up on.
Yeah.
Check this out. What I was talking about too, when I first met him at Clarkston, man, I was terrified of that joker when I first met him, because during that time I was young, short, and skinny. And he looked like a giant over me. Now look at it. We both in our 50s. We both got children. Ain't that something? And,
yeah.
And guess what?
Things are not going so well with me and Darlene. I had to cut her off because every time I want to see her, she always wants me to come see her, just like with Regina. But they can't come out from my place to see me. And I got my own place. A real man invites women over to their place.
Right, but let me tell you something else too about that. Why you brought that up? You're right. A relationship is based on 50-50. You can't give your all and they can't give you back.
Right. Right.
So
and then I'm expected to believe you love me and you care about me and you're not my enemy like they be claiming.
Right.
You don't come see me, bitch.
Hey, Gary, no cursing on him, bro. No cursing. Can't curse on podcast. Can't curse on while I'm live, man. Hey, look, that goes against community standards. You can't cuss on the podcast, bro.
You breaking up, I can't hear you.
Okay, what about now? Can you hear me now, bro? What, can you hear me a little bit now?
A little bit.
Okay. Hey, try to hold off on the cussing on the podcast, man. When I'm going live, can't curse on here. Cause I got my mom and men and women of God, you just can't curse on here, bro.
I tell you what, just text me what you're saying through inbox. I can't hardly hear a word you're saying.
Well, you know what though? Just watch the replay. I got a call coming in. All right.
I can't hardly hear you.
Okay, I catch it on the replay, man. We'll talk. All right. Hey, I catch you on the replay. Oh. Okay. Hey, look, technical difficulties. I got to learn how to adjust this daggone mic. Sorry about that, y'all. But anyhow, like I said, if you call in, I'm just gonna say this: call in, dealing with podcast pertain to podcasts only, and that was a bad example of what Gary did. He cursed on that. I told you no foul language. Now, by him being my friend, I could have. Now, if he wasn't my friend, I would have been like click. But I had to say, oh, you can't do no cussing on him, man. So forgive me, y'all, and forgive him because he don't know no better. You can't be saying certain words on here because guess what? You got to have respect for others as well as yourself if you come on here, because if you gonna bring negativity and curse on him, then don't even bother to call, for real. Yeah, but F it. But like I said, getting back to what I was saying earlier, yeah, but when I first met Bernard, he was on the basketball team and all that. And so guess what? With him and the help and him and the basketball team, And the principal and the grace of God, they convinced the principal too. If I kept my grades up in high school, if I kept my grades up to a certain average, I come to every home game. I come to the home games with no problem. So guess what? I did just that and enjoyed myself on every home game. And like I said, but it was fun, and I even went to the away games too. So I was real tight with I was real tight with Bernard and the basketball team. But now getting back to after I got me a ring in the 10th grade, and we had our first conversation because we had real conversation because we had lunch together around by that time, and we started sharing our knowledge and our and our love of music and our passion. And he told me, he said, I knew you was into it, but I didn't know you was that deep into it, Carlos, for real. He said, you got the knowledge. Not only you got the knowledge, but your love and your passion for it makes it even better. So as he told me, I introduced him to more rock, more new wave. And he introduced me to, which I already was feeling growing up, was jazz, but he introduced me to a lot more, like he said. Now it's called smooth jazz, but back in the before then they used to call it adult contemporary jazz. But yeah, but that's my music. To tell you the truth, like I told him, music was a lot better when we were younger than it is now. Cause back then these jokers, they were on point. They were performing, they were singing. None of this programming, sampling, interpretation. I mean, auto tunes or none of that. I mean, tell you the truth, like I always say, the industry has gotten more lazier than ever. I mean, less music. I mean, I guess what it was since the horn sections faded. I think what it is, they tried to, by them trying to save a little money for themselves, they start adding synthesizers and make keyboard sound like horns and stuff like that. I mean, that's all fine, good and everything, but I'm still down with the real thing. I mean, I still love my music. I still love the 70s and the 80s and part of the 80s. But all this programming, keyboard programming, I mean, I just don't feel it. But anyway, that's tight, that's for each his own, like they always say. But also too about Bernard, even after I left Clarkston. Now that's one thing. We stayed in touch all these years until now. And what's funny about it too, before he even worked with Marta, we even worked for the Fraser Center back from 87 to 90. Well, I did. He left in 91, but I stayed there to 90. But we even had some good times when we were working for the Fraser Center. And like I told him yesterday, I believe we were the only two people, not only in Georgia, probably on earth, who rocked the California Raisins on our job for real, because their music was, a lot of people thought it was somebody else, but when we told them it was the California Raisins, they were like, no. But what they failed to realize, they didn't think about who did the voices. The first thing they say, you talking about them? I heard it through the grapevine singing jokers. Yeah, that's them. But they also did other songs too as well. But the two voices, like Bernard Kemp said, Patty Austin and Buddy Miles. And I told him about Buddy Miles when we were in high school. I told him he was a good drummer. He even played in Hendrix band, the Gypsies. He made a lot of his solo. He had this group Electric Flag and did a lot of solo, did his solo thing too. Like Them changes. Everybody remember him for them changes. But a lot of people didn't know he had a song, "We Got to Live Together." And what inspired him to write that, believe it or not, was Sly Stone's Everyday People. Think about it. Listen to the part when Sly holler, "We got to live together." Yeah, that's where Buddy Miles, that's what inspired Buddy Miles to write his song, "We Got to Live Together." And a lot of people didn't know that. Shoot, to be honest with you, I didn't know that. That's why that's why what we do is called research. Look it up, look into it, and learn it yourself. Because a lot of stuff we learn today, we have to learn ourselves. I mean, sometimes we all need help in a lot of areas, but a lot of stuff, a lot of things we can really do ourselves. I mean, come on now. You got some people that just lazy, don't want to give it a try, but they will, but they do. And like I said, and you got some that just go in one ear and out the other. They don't care. But the good part about it though, that's the thing about it, Bernard Kemp, and our knowledge and our love and passion for music. And also after we got older, before we even thought about kids, before we thought about, just later on, before kids came later on in life, shoot, we used to hang out. We used to like to go listen to music or whatnot. And we just used to hang out in there. We were young, so we had that privilege to hang out when you young, and we, even though we were still living with our parents at the time, but I'll tell you one thing that's good though. I'm glad that we were both able to venture out on our own, start families, and keep a job, because you have a lot of people that don't really succeed in life. But like I told them before, growing up in our time, we had values, we had goals, we had priorities. We did everything that we really were supposed to do growing up. We put like this, we were obedient. We knew what to do and what not to do. And we knew how to avoid getting your tail spanked. So, but like I said, this is the now. And these kids today, you got to watch them, because I believe a lot of them are being trained to be angry. Why? I mean, nobody wants to live an angry life. I don't. I know a lot of y'all don't, but if you that angry and you that miserable, you need to cheat. You need to relax. Sit down, go in the timeout, go just take a time out. Get yourself and your thoughts together and just think. I mean, like I always say, act before you think. Think before you act out. Don't act before you think. Unless you want to deal with the consequence, unless you want to deal with the consequences. And I'm pretty sure nobody wants to do that. But again, I do apologize early for the technical difficulties on the phone call. So we go on from there. But, and like I said, those who want to call in, it's cool. But if don't call, like I said, positive vibes on them. Yeah. But anyway, like I was saying, today is gonna be, like they always say, today is gonna be a good day, so it is. But getting back to another subject I want to talk about. What I want to ask: are you tomorrow? Okay, like now tomorrow, just to let you know this announcement. Tomorrow, My show is gonna be a little different, but a little special tomorrow. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I'm just gonna well, tomorrow morning, I'm just gonna go with the flow and go for what I know. Now later on today, I have another subject in mind, and you will hear it when I go live later today at 6:15. But it's almost time for me to, do what I have to. I have some put like this. I'll be back at 6 o'clock, 6:15. But until then, y'all enjoy y'all do what y'all have to do. Enjoy yourselves. Get yourselves together and keep it on the REL. And I will be back later on at 6:15. Station identification. You are listening to the OG Low Hangout Corner with your host, Carlos Stargell, aka OG Low. Until 6 o'clock, till 6:15, I'll see you then. Guys, peace, y'all. I'll be back later.